This is being talked about all over the place. I get tons of emails about AI with the new Chat GPT. It's not the first one out there, but it's the latest rendition of it. Um, I want to say on this episode of Soapbox Wisdom, I actually dragged Barbara into this conversation because she's the writer. She gets paid to write. The consumer. I have to create content for my business so that then it can generate income. But I wanted to know Barbara's perspective on AI. And I apologize up front, Barbara, if if any of my questions or my queries you haven't gotten to. I'm looking at this conversation on Soapbox Wisdom today as getting your perspective as the writer. As I know I've been hearing, well, it's AI isn't going anywhere. I don't know. What have you heard in that realm of AI?
Well, it's definitely not going anywhere. And the concept and the usage is accelerating. I remember maybe 10 years ago, I covered a business conference at IBM, and they had just come out with a fabulous new AI app that was going to help the healthcare industry in improving the diagnostic processes when patients came in with diseases and we needed protocols to solve those problems. And now we're going beyond just putting together data, but we're putting together words, and AI is creating content. So it's definitely on the move. And this Chat GPT has gotten a lot of attention
Mhm.
since November when it came out. So my ears are perked up, yes, as a content writer.
Yeah.
Um, what do I think of it? My first reaction is I'm fascinated by it. My second reaction is I'm not scared of it. I'm not of the opinion that it's going to put me and other writers out of business as content providers and authors, because there's something special that we give by generating words from ideas that come from ourselves.
Yeah, well, that brings up as you were talking, again, my mind's just going. I'm thinking of things we've spoken about in the past, everything. The thing about the AI, it doesn't know your end goal. And I know even with what I do with clients, I need to delve into why are we doing this? What's your end goal? And I know for you as a writer, I know personally because I engaged your services the other year to help me write a landing page. And like I had said to you at the time, I was blown away with the questions that you were asking me. And it proved to me that, we all need another human being. As much as I'm a questioner and I ask really good questions from a lot of people and everything, you as the writer and in helping me, you opened up, ideas that I never would have come up with, and I don't see that happening with artificial intelligence.
Well, I definitely think that you're dealing with a machine, so there's a fall short in that human element. Um, you know, when I think of writing a piece for someone or writing an article or a blog generated by me for me, I kind of think of three parts. I think of the planning or figuring it out stage of all the knowledge I might have on a particular topic. What are the parameters of what I want to say? So once I get that down, step two is I own it. Then I take that information and I start making it mine. I start figuring out how I'm going to express that in a very authentic, natural way.
Mm.
That's Barbara. Or if I'm writing for a client, that's me on behalf of that client, incorporating their voice, their pauses, their expressions, and finally energizing it. And that's where the human element really comes in, right?
Yeah.
Where you just breathe life into it by using your personality to do that. We could be reading the same article aloud or giving the same speech if we were reading a script, but you would say it differently than I because we're different people. And that uniqueness is what matters. And from what I've read on AI or even chat a GPT, it's not there yet with that voice, that nuance, that energy
Well,
that
I
is
I
really
have I've
emanating
read a
from soul.
few things though, that people are finding the more they use that or the chat GPT, it is starting to take up their voice. But I wanted to share this with you. I did a little research ahead of time and I went into chat GPT and I asked it for some facts about using artificial intelligence and writing content. And it was interesting that it gave, good points, and especially it's good for writing emails. It can save time and all that stuff. But was pleasantly surprised to find this. It says, while AI powered writing tools can be helpful, they are not a replacement for human writers. Small businesses should still ensure that their content is well researched, accurate, and engaging, and that it reflects their brand voice and values. I'm like, yes, yes. And this is the thing, too. You can't just put a query into any of these tools and then just take the content and throw it out there. You have to edit it and put it into your voice and everybody needs to understand that because if they're just, going to take the stuff and throw it out, this is kind of similar. I look at like social media. Another one of those areas, a lot of people are doing social media. A lot of people are putting content out. A lot of people are taking time to learn how to do social media. But does it mean it's effective? No, no, just because you're doing something doesn't mean it's effective. And using these AI tools doesn't mean it's gonna give you what you really need. Uh,
I so what I again, that's very interesting what you say, because anything I've read on this, and I've started to experiment with it a little, it's definitely clear that if you put in a topic, it regurgitates or it gives you information so that you have a really good scope,
mhm,
which I think is what you're saying.
mhm,
But again, the fall short is the voice and the kind of talking human element of it. That
yeah,
said, it does up. So maybe in a formal business email where pretty straightforward. I don't know about a blog. I've read that they're now, and can you use it with a college essay? That's a
mm,
tricky subject, isn't it? It covers the
yeah, that
material, but is it representative fairly and ethically of the student? It's a
yeah,
complicated question. There's a little bit of ethics involved with it beyond
mhm,
just does it work?
mhm. Yeah. Well, and yeah, exactly. And as I mentioned, talking about people learning the social media and everything, this is another one of those areas that I don't know about you in your inbox, but I'm getting a lot of emails from people who are teaching how to use Chat GPT. Here's a whole new business. Um, learn, and here's something else to put on the list. Oh, now I got something else to learn. It's like, really? Do you want to, add another thing to your list of learning and figuring it out. Um, I just caution our listeners of taking too much time to learn how to use it. And that's the thing, you do have to learn. It's another tool. And it's like I say, when you build a funnel, a lead generation funnel, oh, you can build whatever you want with the technology and everything. But again, if you're not feeding it the right way, if you're not using it properly, it's wasted time, it's wasted money. And it's the same thing with using an artificial intelligence tool to write content. If you're not putting the right information in, asking it the right thing, what are you going to get? You know.
Well, you raise a good point, because it's just like when you were talking about when I interviewed you, there's an art to
Mhm.
asking the right questions. So, if you're going to use it even as a starter tool to say, well, what points should I cover? You better be inputting the right questions and the right information to make it work. I think what you said about inundated with the inbox, and yes, mine is too, and especially because I'm connected to a lot of writing organizations, communications organizations, and blogs and such.
Mm.
So many of these now are focused on AI, and even more specifically, chat GPT. And there we are, we're always talking about shiny objects that distract us and take us off our the trajectory that we should be on to grow our specific businesses. That's a point to mention as well. It's very interesting how people jump on a gravy train when a new concept or a new trend emerges, and we can get sidetracked. So that's actually a
Yeah.
very good warning that even goes beyond the subject of whether it works, whether
Yeah.
it doesn't, whether it's good enough, etc.
Yeah. That's the thing. I think if you've been creating your content, your social media posts, emails, and things, that now is not the time to take more time to learn how to use this tool if you really don't have the time. I mean, if you've got a great business and you've got blocks of empty space on your calendar, yeah, sure, go ahead and take the time to learn all about it. But again, it's like with all anything new out there. It's, oh, now I got to learn about this concept, or I have to learn this tool. I just caution our listeners, watch how much time you're taking to learn this. And I don't know about you, Barbara, but I feel that this is not a once and done conversation. It's just the beginning of
It,
using something like this.
it really is the beginning. And just again about its application to anything you may be doing. And the concept, if you're doing something right, and if it's not broken, don't fix it. I read an article um, about the shooting at Michigan State University, and Vanderbilt University, I think, put out an email to students about this. And believe it or not, they used Chat GPT to create the email. And many people, when this was discovered, were appalled. So, application, is it right for your specific situation? And to your point about this is just the beginning, we really do have to continue to watch where this goes, and it will continue to develop and move on to see how it's going to work for each of us individually and for a unique need that we may have.
Yeah. And I just was thinking one last question for you, Barbara, and I'm sorry I have too many questions today. Um,
It's
have
fun to
you
be on the other end of an interview. I rather enjoy it.
have you in it with working with any of your current clients, has anybody brought this up with you, or even if you're talking to a prospective client, has it come up in any conversations that anybody's thinking that, oh, they might be able to get away with using something like this.
So no, I've been at meetings where it's either been discussed in the meeting or somebody may tap me on the shoulder and say, hey, Barbara, what do you think about it? But no one has approached me to strategize content or write content for them. And given that, at least not ostensibly, as a consideration, that should they consider using that instead of, say, for example, using my services. And interestingly, because of the kind of dialogue that I usually have when clients and I are first discussing a project, I inevitably, because I'm interested in what they have to say, am responsive with answers that are really personalized and customized to their unique situation and need, as well as some of the differentiators of their business. And so when they note that I have that enthusiasm that I'm portraying to them, I think they're more tied into that than worrying about whether there's another alternative that might be either more time efficient or cost effective. And of course, that makes me happy and validates what I do, and validates the case for all my fellow writers and content creators, that there's still very definitely a place for us in this high technology, innovative technology world. So I'll hang on to that thought for now, but keep my mind open. I am very open-minded to it, and I'm excited to see where the innovation in this area goes.
Well, that is so good to hear, Barbara, from a writer. And I don't. I'm all out of questions for this episode of Soapbox Wisdom. Do you have any final comments?
I just think that we'll be revisiting this again. This is a very hot topic and very hot concept right now. Microsoft is doing work in it. They have a new bot and they're trying to work out the kinks. So who knows what's on the horizon, which is kind of the exciting thing about innovation. And you and I, along with everybody else out there, has to really keep on top of it.
Yeah. So stay tuned for part 2 in the future sometime.
Sooner than later, probably.